a cozy beach town. Turquoise water lapping the pier. Tourists licking ice cream on Goderich's sun-bleached boardwalk. Now flip the scene. 550 meters straight down lurks the biggest underground salt mine on Earth, an industrial mega-cavern wide enough for semis to drag race. We're talking 7 million tons of crystal per year, blasted out beneath Lake Huron and shipped to de-ice half of North America. Ready to crack open this hidden giant? Smash subscribe and let's drop into the depths together. Stand on Goderich's bluff and you're staring at 60,000 quartz of sapphire water, Lake Huron in full, sun-splashed glory. Depths plunge to 229 meters, yet the lake stays startlingly transparent. You can often see the lake bed 30 meters down. Bonus trivia: Huron and neighboring Lake Michigan are actually one hydrological giant joined at the Straits of Mackinac, so every ripple here is part of a single, sprawling water body. The town hugs the mouth of the Maitland River, a natural mini-harbor carved by glaciers. That sheltered inlet meant easy timber loading in the 1800s, handy grain elevators later, and, crucially, a direct launch point for barges hauling salt today. Location. Location. You know the drill. Founded in 1827 as a planned port, Goderich boomed on lumber, waned, then reinvented itself around tourism and the salt underfoot. Population, roughly 7,500, but come summer weekends, you'd swear it's double that. Picture this: a local entrepreneur drops a drill rig just outside town, hunting black gold to power Canada's young industries. At 1,350 meters, the bit suddenly screeches, coated not in crude, but in glittering white crystals. Rock salt almost 98% pure. Platt tastes it, prospector tradition, and realizes he's hit a culinary gold mine instead of petroleum. Word races up the Great Lakes. There's an ocean of salt hiding under Huron. Engineers rush in with core samplers and horse-drawn surveying carts. Every probe says the same thing. The deposit is thick, about 30 meters, flat, and stretches for kilometers in every direction. By the 1880s, geologists are calling it one of the cleanest salt beds on the continent, and the town's future pivots overnight, from logging outpost to soon-to-be Salt City. Jump back 400 million years to the Silurian, palm-lined shoals, reef-rimmed shallows, and a balmy equatorial sun where Canada now sits. A warm inland sea, think prehistoric Bahamas, covers the future Great Lakes basin, teeming with corals and sea scorpions the size of dachshunds. Climate swings crank the region from wet to scorchingly dry. Each drought boils off kilometer-wide shallows, leaving a crunchy veneer of salt and gypsum. Storms refill the basin. The sun bakes it again. Layer after layer, this rinse-and-repeat cycle stacks up like geological baklava for millions of years, building the Salina Formation, North America's salt fold. Fast forward, mud, limestone, and shale bury the salty cake under hundreds of meters of rock. Weight equals heat, equals pressure, squeezing the layers into a 30-meter thick slab of nearly flawless NaCl, so pure, miners can chip off table-ready crystals straight from the wall. This underground salt pan now sprawls beneath the entire Great Lakes, but its cleanest, thickest slice sits squarely under Goderich, waiting to be rediscovered by a lucky driller 3 centuries ago. Step into a steel cage, hit the button, and free fall, the safe kind, for 10 straight minutes, 550 meters down. When the doors slide open, you're not just underground, you're under Lake Huron. The air is a steady 20 degrees Celsius year-round, the light is utilitarian, and the scale flips your sense of distance. Welcome to a workplace deeper than the CN Tower is tall. The mine spreads into a grid of 160-plus kilometers of tunnels, many wide enough for 2 transport trucks to pass without flinching. Pillars of untouched salt hold up the roof like square colonnades, turning the place into a cathedral of crystal. Junction signs, service bays, and turnouts make it feel weirdly familiar, like a city where the streets sparkle and crunch under your boots. This is heavy equipment heaven. Load, haul, dump, LHD, machines swallow up to 20 tons of broken salt in a gulp, then sprint it to on-site crushers. Bulldozers tidy blast faces, graders keep haul roads smooth, and there are full maintenance shops carved right into the rock, so the fleet never has to come up for air. Everything, from fueling to tire changes, happens down here, keeping tons moving and downtime microscopic. Crews grid the face with jumbo drills, sink holes as thick as your wrist, pack them with emulsion explosives, and clear the blast zone. A dull boom, a dust cloud, and a wall of salt collapses into truck-sized chunks. Loader operators swoop in, scooping rubble into jaw crushers that chew it down to grapefruit pieces, while vibrating feeders funnel the flow forward. The whole cycle, from blast to crusher, can roll every few hours, day or night, thanks to staggered shift teams and redundant gear. Next comes the underground screening plant, layered meshes that rattle the salt into precise grades. Fine grains head for food and water softener lines, chunky crystals become road de-icer, fist-sized nuggets feed chemical plants. Because processing happens in situ, impurities are nixed early, and only sale-ready product rides the cage to daylight, slashing hoist trips and energy costs. Finished salt pours onto conveyor belts that climb the main shaft, unload into towering surface silos, then shoot straight into rail cars, trucks, or self-unloading lake freighters. Output hovers around 7 million tons a year, enough to fill 280,000 semi-trailers or coat every lane of the Trans-Canada Highway in a shimmering dusting. Not bad for a town whose main street still closes for the farmers' market on Saturdays. Between the salt tunnels and Lake Huron's muddy bottom lies a 122 ms slab of limestone and shale, nature's own pressure plate. That buffer keeps lake water out and mine air in, even when Huron is heaving under a winter gale. Quick pit stop. Beyond Atlas Explore is racing toward its first 1,000 subscribers. If this deep dive is scratching your Explorer itch, smash subscribe and jump on board. Engineers leave chunky columns of untouched salt in a checkerboard pattern. Each pillar shoulders thousands of tons, spreading the load like legs under a dining table. Decades of laser surveys show the roof barely shifts a millimeter. Seismic meters listen for micro-rumbles. Laser plums. From summer festivals to the high school mascot, Goderich leans into its identity. Visitors snap selfies beside a jumbo salt block downtown, then grab "Keep It Salty" t-shirts before hitting the beach. Conveyors feed rail cars, rail spurs feed lake freighters, freighters feed ocean vessels in Montreal. From there, Goderich crystals hitch rides to Boston docks, Gulf Coast chlorine plants, and Asian plastics factories. Road salt season is go time. Blue trucks queue around the clock bound for Toronto, Detroit, Chicago, and New York. One loaded semi can de-ice 380 lane kilometers. Multiply that by tens of thousands, and you get slip-free commutes for millions. Chlor-alkali plants crack Goderich salt into chlorine for PVC, caustic soda for paper mills, and hydrogen for clean fuel experiments. And yes, a fraction ends up on your dinner table. Those tiny white grains started life 550 meters under a Canadian lake. A prehistoric sea, a lucky drill strike, and century-level engineering joined forces to build the world's biggest hidden factory, still expanding, still spotless on the environmental scorecard. If one sleepy beach town can hide a megamine, what secrets lurk under your hometown? Geology loves surprises. Stay curious. More buried worlds, offbeat ruins, and mind-bending infrastructure are on deck. Hit subscribe, ring the bell, and let's keep exploring the planet's overlooked wonders, one deep dive at a time.